Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Coin Studio. Every single coin in your pocket has a story. Some are ordinary, just tools for transaction. But others carry with them a piece of history, a rare anomaly, or a unique tale that can transform them from spare change into valuable collectibles. First up, 1987 Lincoln Cent. A coin minted during Ronald Reagan's presidency. In the Denver Mint, identified by the small d beneath the year. Over 4.5 billion of these pennies were produced, yes. Billion with a B. So, what makes any of these coins special? Why would anyone care about a penny from 1987? Well, here's where the story gets interesting. The 1987 Lincoln Cent features the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. By 1987, the coin was still using the same obverse design, with some subtle refinements made over the decades. On the reverse, we have the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo that replaced the original wheat ears in 1959. This was part of the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. These coins were made primarily of copper-plated zinc, a change that had occurred just a few years earlier in 1980 due to rising copper costs. Although the 1987 penny was mass-produced, some have proven to be quite valuable due to 1. Minting errors, 2. High-grade condition, 3. Varieties and anomalies. Let's break those down. 1. Minting errors. These are coins that came out of the mint with imperfections. Collectors love them for their uniqueness. Notable errors found on 1987 cents include off-center strikes where the design is visibly shifted, sometimes as much as 50% off the coin. Die cracks or die breaks, raised lines that appear due to stress fractures in the die. There a small die break between the letters B and D in Liberty that looks like the letter I. Double dies, although no major DDO or DDR varieties are officially recognized for 1987D. Minor doubling has been found by collectors and still fetches a premium. 2. High-grade condition. If your 1987D penny is in Ms. 67 or higher mint state, it could be worth $1,000 or more. According to PCs, only a small number of 1987D pennies have been certified in ultra-high grades, and collectors are willing to pay for the finest examples. 3. Full red coloration. Zinc-based pennies often turn brown over time. If your coin still has its original full red luster, it's more desirable. A red designation on a certified coin label boosts its value. Let's look at real-world auction results. In 2017, an Ms. 67 or 1987 penny sold for $18,800. In 2020, another similar coin went for $26,400 at auction, simply due to its pristine condition and coloration. Now imagine if that coin also had an error. Double the appeal, double the price. So before you toss away that 1987 penny, look closely. It may be worth far more than 1 cent. Next up, 2008 Lincoln Cent. The 2008 Lincoln Cent is fascinating not just because of what it is, but because of what came after. You see, 2008 marked the final year of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design before the US Mint launched a new series to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's bicentennial in 2009. This makes 2008 pennies a kind of last of an era coin, a significant year for collectors. The 2008 cent features the same obverse bust of Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. It was produced in massive quantities, just like the 1987D. Over 5.4 billion pennies were minted in Philadelphia and 2.5 billion in Denver. Unlike 1980 pennies, which are split between copper and zinc compositions, 2008 cents are all copper-plated zinc. Valuable varieties and errors. Now, let's dive into why some 2008 pennies are worth money. 1. Satin finish coins. These were produced in special mint sets between 2005 and 2010. They're different from normal circulation strikes, showing a smoother matte finish. In top grades, these satin finish 2008 cents can bring $1,000 to $5,000 depending on grade and luster. 2. High-grade regular strikes. If your 2008 penny is in Ms. 68 or higher, especially from the Denver Mint, it could be worth over $10,000. That's not a bad return on a single cent. 3. Errors and anomalies. Off-center strikes. Die clashes where part of the obverse design is imprinted on the reverse due to dies striking without a placket in place. CUDS major die breaks where part of the design is missing or replaced by a raised blob. Double die reverses DD are though rare. Some examples of minor doubling on the Lincoln Memorial steps or lettering have been reported. These types of errors are what excite coin hunters and make even modern coins worth collecting. Collector demand. Because 2008 marks the end of the memorial design, more collectors are setting aside full rolls and mint sets from this year. They want to preserve the final example of a design that ran for almost 50 years. Also, with rising interest in low mintage coins and the ever-increasing cost of professional grading, people are paying attention to even small-value coins that have perfect strike, full color, and unique errors. So if you have a 2008 Lincoln cent, especially in uncirculated condition, hold on to it. Inspect it for errors and consider grading if it's pristine. Next up, the 1975 Lincoln cent. Let's start with 1975, a year that should have produced one of the most iconic coins in its history, but didn't. The 1975 Lincoln cent was struck during the bicentennial buildup just 1 year before America's 200th birthday. And here's where the mystery begins. Background and composition. In 1975, the S Mint struck over 5.4 billion Lincoln cents in Philadelphia and 4.5 billion in Denver. These coins featured the same design introduced in 1959 Lincoln's bust on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. By this time, the mint had already transitioned to a 95% copper, 5% zinc composition, but only for a few more years. In 1982, copper prices would force the mint to switch to copper-plated zinc, making these earlier cents more desirable for metal content. But here's what sets 1975 apart: the non-existent 1975's proof penny. Most collectors know that the San Francisco Mint produces proof coins, special coins made for collectors with highly polished dies and plankets. In 1975, the Mint issued a 1975's proof set, but unlike most years, there were no 1975's business strike pennies intended for circulation. All 1975's Lincoln cents were proof-only issues. These coins are generally worth $1 to $3, but if in a perfect PR70 cam grade, they can sell for $1,000 or more. Here's where things get really interesting. There's an incredibly rare type of error known as a nose-proof coin, meaning it was supposed to have an S mint mark but doesn't. It's happened before. 1968 nose Roosevelt dime. 1971 nose Jefferson nickel. 1990 nose Lincoln cent. So, naturally, collectors have speculated for decades, could a 1975 nose Lincoln cent exist? To this day, none have been confirmed. But if one were ever discovered, it would instantly become one of the rarest and most valuable pennies in existence, potentially worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. 1975 errors worth money. Aside from the dream of a nose, 1975 pennies also come with collectible errors and varieties. Off-center strikes if more than 50% is off-center but the day is visible. Value increases dramatically. Double dies while no major 1975 DOS are officially listed. Minor doubling on Liberty, and the date can be worth $1,000, $5,000 plus. Die cracks be errors, and cuts these minor but collectible die break errors are always in demand. And of course if your 1975 penny is in Ms. 67 or higher, it could fetch $15,000, $30,000 thanks to its grade alone. Next up, 1990 to Lincoln cent. If the 1975 penny is famous for what doesn't exist, then the 1992 Lincoln cent is famous for what wasn't supposed to exist but somehow did. And if you find the right one, you could be holding a coin worth over $25,000. In 1993, the U.S. Mint made a subtle but permanent change to the Lincoln cent, the spacing between the words America on the reverse design. From 1959 to 1992, the Lincoln Memorial cents had wide spacing between the letters A and N in America. Starting in 1993, the Mint adopted a closer, almost touching AM design originally intended for use in later memorial cents and proof coins. But here's the twist. Some 1990 pennies both from Philadelphia and Denver were accidentally struck with the new 1993 reverse design, making them a stunning transition error. The so-called 1990 to close AM cent is now one of the rarest modern US pennies. How rare? Only about 15 to 20 examples are known from Philadelphia. Only a few known Denver minted examples exist. These errors occurred because a reverse diamond for 1993 was mistakenly used in late 1992. Here's how to check if you have a 1990 to close AM. Flip your 1990 to penny to the reverse. Look closely at the word America. On regular 1990 to cents, the letters A and N America should be widely spaced. On a close AM variety, they are almost touching, just like on 1993 and later coins. Use a magnifier. If it's a 1992 with a close AM, you may be holding something incredibly valuable. The 1990 to close AM Lincoln cent is a modern treasure. In 2012, a 1990 to close AM created Ms. 67 sold at auction for $20,700. Another example sold in 2017 for $25,850. And remember, these aren't proof coins or old silver pieces. These are modern, copper-plated zinc pennies that most people would never look at twice. Besides the close AM, 1990 to pennies can have other valuable features. High-grade examples in Ms. 67 can bring $1,000, $2,000 plus. Double dies. A few minor DDO examples exist, especially on Liberty and In God We Trust. Off-center strikes up to 90% off-center strikes can sell for $1,000, $3,000 depending on visibility. But nothing compares to the close AM when it comes to 1992. Next up, the 1990 for Lincoln cent. First up, the 1990 for Lincoln cent, a coin minted in massive numbers, yet hiding a few shocking surprises. In 1994, the US Mint struck over 6.5 billion Lincoln cents in Philadelphia no mint mark, and nearly 7.1 billion at the Denver Mint marked with a D. These coins were made from copper-plated zinc 97.5%, ink with a thin to 0.5% copper coating, continuing a trend started in 1980 to when the mints switched from solid copper. The obverse still featured the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner, and the reverse displayed the Lincoln Memorial used from 1959 to 2008. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite being a modern coin, the 1990% has some collectible errors and a mystery involving proof coins that few people talk about. While 1994 proof coins were struck at the San Francisco Mint with the S Mint mark, they were only issued in sets. But occasionally, collectors have discovered business strike coins with unusually reflective, proof-like surfaces. These bull coins, if graded in this 67 or higher, can fetch $1,000 to $3,000 or more, due to their eye appeal and scarcity. The current price record, a 1994 cent graded Miss 69 red by PCs sold for over $10,000, showing the value of pristine examples. The real money in 1990 for Lincoln cents comes from errors. Off-center strikes worth $5,000 to $6,000 plus. Double dies minor DOS and DDRS, especially on the words Liberty, In God We Trust, and the Lincoln Memorial. The errors where a die crack between the BND and Liberty forms what looks like the letter I. Cuts and die breaks some are dramatic enough to earn $10,000 or more. If you have a 1990 for penny with a bold, visible error, especially if it's off-center, misaligned, or shows doubling, you may be holding a coin that collectors would pay top dollar for. Next, we travel to 2002, a year when the Lincoln cent may seem ordinary, but reveals a fascinating tale of modern minting, misunderstood metals, and rare errors. In 2002, over 3.2 billion cents were struck in Philadelphia, and 3.4 billion at the Denver Mint. These coins were exclusively made of copper-plated zinc, like most modern post 1,982 cents. But here's the twist: copper prices began to rise again, leading some collectors to hoard older, copper-rich coins. The 2000 penny became a part of this shift in collector interest. Most 2002 Lincoln cents are worth just face value, but when perfectly preserved, they become valuable. A 2002 Lincoln cent in Miss 69 sold for over $1,000. Even Miss 68 red examples command $1,000, $2,500, due to their rarity in such pristine condition. The takeaway: keep an eye on luster, strike sharpness, and absence of blemishes. One of the most significant 2002 varieties is the double die reverse, known as 801. Here's how to identify it. Look closely at the words United States of America and De Pluribus Unum. If you see bold split lines on the letters, especially under magnification, you may be looking at a DDR. These DDRs can sell for $3,000 to $7,000 plus, and more if in high grade. Also look out for off-center errors. Up to 90% off-center can bring $20,000 plus. Clip plankets where part of the coin appears cut off. Struck through grease creates weak details, especially on Lincoln's bust or the memorial. These are just curiosities. They're profitable finds for anyone with sharp eyes and a magnifier. Last, we explore the story of the 1996 Lincoln cent, a common coin with unexpected value hiding in minting errors and elite grade examples. Struck at the Denver Mint, the 1996 had a huge mintage of over 6.5 billion coins. At first glance, this makes it seem common and unremarkable. But as with many modern cents, the real story is in the details. Most 1996 cents are worn, spotted, or scratched, but in mint state red Miss 67 or higher, they become quite valuable. A 1996 in the 69, one of the finest known, sold for over $20,000. PCs has graded only a tiny handful at that level. So if you have a fresh-looking 1996 with blazing red color, sharp details, and no contact marks, it's worth submitting for grading. A few known double die reverse DDO and double die reverse DDR varieties exist from 1996. Look for doubling on In God We Trust, doubling on the columns of the Lincoln Memorial, doubling on date digits or Liberty. There are also a handful of valuable off-center strikes and clip planket errors. These can sell for $2,500 to over $3,000, depending on severity and eye appeal. Narrator. So, the next time someone says modern pennies aren't worth collecting, show them the $10,000 plus auction prices, the bold double dies, and the stunning off-center errors hiding in the Lincoln cents. You don't need ancient gold to strike it rich in numismatics. Sometimes, it just takes a magnifying glass, a little patience, and the right knowledge. If you learned something new today, like the video, subscribe for weekly coin stories, and comment below which modern penny surprised you the most. Thanks for watching and happy collecting.